Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. Well, a Somalian decided to reach out to me to, I guess, called itself insulting us, telling me, we got, our knotty hair and big nose and all that, but that's okay. I did something and I want to show this to you, y'all. One thing I do know, you folks that got that looser kind of curl and looser kind of hair, y'all get head lice. And I went to look it up. And sure enough, Somalians, y'all, they get head lice. Let me share my screen and I'm going to read this to you. They get head lice. And to my recollection, only animals get head lice, right? Only animals get head lice. Mexicans get head lice, East Indians get head lice, Latinos get head lice, Somalians get head lice. See, all of y'all that walk around here and stick your nose up in the air and try to act like you're something better than us. I notice all of you groups, white people, all of you get head lice. All of you. Yes, Somalis can get head lice, as anyone can, but historically in the US, African Americans got them less often. However, lice infestation are common. And, of course, when you make close contact, but yes, Somalis get head lice, y'all. They get head lice. They get head lice a lot more often, just like white people. So if these folks that got this looser curl hair or straight hair or wavy hair and they walk around here thinking their shit don't stink, always remember one thing, y'all. Them mofos get head lice, okay? They get head lice. So are they really truly better off than us that got the woolly hair? Hell no, they're not. All right. So don't ever listen to this crap about them and their hair. They're full of crap. If you get head lice, don't come in my face talking about what your hair is. I don't want to hear it. That's dog hair. Remember, only animals get head lice. So all of you, because poodles got curly hair, don't they? And poodles get lice too, especially if they're unkept. A curly haired poodle can get lice. So, all of y'all that got curly, loose curls and straight hair, y'all got dog hair. You got dog hair. So, moving on to the subject matter. So, we're going to talk about Candace Owens, who's been, kind of blowing up over there because she's been making accusations that Charlie, his demise was an inside job, Turning Point USA, people within that organization pretty much turned on him. That's the accusation she's making over there. I'm loving it, y'all, because it looks like the people on the right, they are turning on each other and they are falling apart over there pretty badly. And I'm loving it. I'm loving watching them folks divide and they don't have nothing going on worthwhile at all. They really don't. You can even see the divisions going on within Donald Trump's group. And I might talk about this tomorrow. Marjorie Taylor Greene went on, I think it was 60 Minutes, and she did an interview, and Donald Trump is having a meltdown over the things she said during that interview. So we may talk about that tomorrow. But there are so many divisions going on the right. It's not even funny. So she's making these accusations and of course they're firing back at Candace Owens over the things that she's saying. And ever since Candace has gotten fired from all of these organizations, Turning Point USA, PragerU, Daily Wire. She has not been talking about our people like she used to. She used to really drag our community badly, when she was getting paid by all of these white and you-ish organizations, when she was getting paid by them folks. Oh, she had all kinds of horrible things to say about our people. But now that they have all simultaneously kicked her to the curb, she hardly says anything about us now. She don't have nothing to say about our people. So now she's been heavily going in about Charlie Kirk since he's been unalived, you know, and a lot of people say assassinated, but Charlie was not well known by everybody. Look, my brother didn't even know who he was. I had to tell my brother who Charlie Kirk was. He didn't even know who he was. He had heard that, he was unalive, but he didn't really know who he was. So Charlie was not well known by all. He was well known if you were on the internet, but by all people, he was not well known by all people at all. He wasn't. And so she's been on this thing since his unaliving over on her channel. And, at the end of the day, Candace Owens is just grifting on, on his death. That's all she's really doing. She's grifting on it because she and Charlie fell out. And she was not that close with Charlie. I think at one point in time they were probably, friendly with each other, but towards the end of his life, they weren't clicked in with each other like that. They weren't. And I think she is just cashing in on it now. And that's fine, if she want to do that to them folks, hey, that's all good. As long as she's leaving us alone, I'm cool with that. So anyway, she's been going in pretty hard, and now she's making all kinds of accusations, and she's saying the person that was on the stairwell is not the same person that took Charlie out, and she's just saying all kinds of stuff over there. So we're going to listen to what she is saying and how people are reacting to it. And yeah, they're very upset at Turning Point USA. They're very upset. And I always got the feeling that Erica Kirk, Charlie's widow, she don't like Candace. And I kind of got that feeling for a while that she don't care for Candace. I just got that feeling, especially when she didn't even get invited to the memorial service. I was like, I don't think she likes Candace. I just felt that. So y'all, let me go ahead and share my screen so we can get started. Oh, and before we get started, I want to make this announcement again. My Shopify store has been designed. So you're going to see a new design. So the website is the number 12 tribesonearth.net. If you go out there, this is my Shopify store. You'll see a new design and you can go out here and see all the products that are out there. I still got to update a few things out here, but you can still place your orders and you'll see everything all brand new out here. It looks nice. And I'll be making some updates to the products. And yes, you can, because people are always asking me about the gray hair reversal. It's not available on Etsy, but it is available on Shopify. And stop sharing here. And just as a reminder, there is a sale going on over on Etsy, 30% off the entire store. So over there, you will get a discount for 30% up until December 24th. All right. Let's get to. All right. Please give me a 1 if you can see my screen. Oh, hold on. Where's you? Here's Candace. All right, here we go.
I also want to say this. I have had a flood of Turning Point employees reach out to me, maybe because he says she would have been the natural heir to Turning Point USA. I'm not trying to be the heir to Turning Point USA. I kind of like my life. I don't want to take money from donors, okay? Because they do what they did to Charlie. They're not buying, they're not donating money to charity because they view it as a charity. They're doing it because they want to purchase your voice. That's it. And I don't want to give mine up. But what these people are telling me is a very dark story that involves these donors, sponsors, influencers, a takeover of sorts that I think was happening right under Charlie's nose. And I want to say this formally as we keep investigating this. I believe that Charlie Kirk was betrayed by people who are close to him. Based on what I have seen thus far, the evidence, the quote unquote receipts that require a way deeper investigation into the apparatus, the financial apparatus at Turning Point, there was definitely some weird activity leading up to this moment happening at the organization. And I've been able to verify it. I have been given names, and I intend to now embark on this lengthier investigation, which I need more help on. I've reached out to some journalists. I'm sharing the information with them. And I think we're going to discover that this was ugly.
Major update, guys. So Turning Point USA's Blake Neff makes an official response to Candace, but you're going to want to see what happens after. Take a look.
Candace has mentioned several times that the ball is in our court. So here's what is going to happen. In the near future, there will be a live stream here in Phoenix where we address in a clear and comprehensive way the claims and accusations, the false accusations that have been made against Charlie's family, friends, and the people here at Turning Point. We plan to walk through everything carefully and thoroughly. If Candace is available, we would sincerely welcome her participation in that live stream at our studio here in Phoenix.
You can pick the place, you can pick the time. I say we do it tomorrow. We don't need to plan for this. We don't need lawyers in between us, lawyer statements. It's not how I roll, okay? I don't care about any of that. I want it to be authentic. Like I said, you can take the money. We can raise money live for this conversation. That is how badly the world is demanding it. So I accept it with whistles and bells, everything I fully accept. I say, let's do it tomorrow. Let's do it tomorrow. And my only ground rule is no assassinations. Okay? No assassinations, no funny business. You can't pretend you're going to do it. And then Candace died in a mysterious accident. Okay? We'll be right back after a quick break.
Wow. So you've heard it from both sides. Let's just see what happens. This is going to be very, very interesting, but hopefully truth comes to light at the end of the tunnel.
This Christian woman is exposing what actually took place when she went to a Turning Point USA faith event. She thought she was walking into an event centered on Jesus, but it was actually a political pep rally. Take a look. Here's what she witnessed. I thought I'd be experiencing politics through a political lens. Instead, I got 90 minutes of weaponized hate from the stage, and it broke my heart. The speaker opened by declaring Candace Owens as evil and anti-Semitic before even opening the Bible. He spent the night trashing Tucker Carlson and calling left-leaning people all of those names while the crowd cheered. He preached that Christians must support the modern nation state of Israel no matter what it does, because Jesus was Jewish. He twisted scripture to justify unconditional political allegiance to a foreign government over America itself. Meanwhile, armed security with their hands on their weapons stood on stage and at every exit. She also said, I kept asking myself, would Jesus call sinners freaks and laugh? Jesus ate with everybody. This wasn't the gospel. This was political indoctrination dressed in a cross. These events claim their Christian conservative training, but this young woman saw a captive audience of teenagers being taught that hate is holy and blind loyalty to a political agenda is the same as loving God. I'd like to give credit to these people for making this story possible because exposing the truth is very important. This is how extremism spreads, and they're targeting teenagers. Young Christians, Americans, and Jesus Christ definitely all deserve better than this.
The Candace Owens and Turning Point USA situation just took another turn, okay? There is a whistleblower that had came out and said that from his experiences with Turning Point USA, allegedly they have already been compromised and infiltrated, okay? He spoke about his experience with them and some of the things that he's seen and heard that was quite shocking. But not only that, he also spoke about Candace Owens and his opinion on her investigation this far, okay? This is crazy. I want to show you guys this. And just to be warned, he did say that he has an NDA against him. So there's certain things that he cannot say publicly, okay? This is wild. Let's hop into this video, watch it, and react to it. Before we do me a quick favor. Hit that like button for the algorithm so that this video can reach more people like yourself. I truly appreciate you guys. Let's hop in.
My name is Joshua Peterson. I'm a former representative for Turning Point USA, and I have a story to tell about when I was at training at Turning Point. So the first couple nights went as you would expect. It's pretty long and strenuous work. We were being trained very vigorously, and after the first few days, we were told that we were going to have some group time. And the first thing that I thought about that was that's going to be awesome. We get a group bond and stuff like that. And I get to hang out with my leader. However, this was not the case. We were going to be going out with our former representatives that had shown up from previous years and had been at training in previous years. And they were going to be the ones that were going to show us around the city. So I get paired up with these two specific people who I cannot name currently, but they take us out. And the first thing that I found very odd about, this Christian conservative company is they rented 2 stripper vans to take us out to the city. No strippers, but it was like there were stripper poles inside the vans. Very odd, very unlike, their values, but okay. And then once we got down to the bars in Arizona, they started getting us drunk. The former reps were, and very drunk at that. And then they started singling out people, and they would pull them out one by one to go outside and smoke like a cigarette. Now, when it was finally my turn to go and talk to them, they approached me and they asked me, "Hey, what are your views on Israel?" And I just told them, I think Israel's a good country. At the time, I thought so, at least. And they told me, okay, well, what do you think about Mossad and Israeli forces? And I was like, they're all right. Yeah. And they were like, what if we told you we're part of it, Israeli groups and forces? And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I'm like, and you work for Turning Point, right? And they were like, yeah, we do. We've been working for Turning Point for the past 4 or 5 years now. Now, at the time, I did not know if the company knew of this. I did not know if they were infiltrating the company by any means, but they were Israeli agents within Turning Point USA, and I knew that there were more as well, and there was many more of them in Turning Point, and it was a very concerning thing for me and a couple of the representatives that we noticed. And we did end up bringing it up to our administration at Turning Point that this was going on, and they said they would take care of it. And sure enough, nothing was done about it. There was absolutely zero retaliation towards those representatives that were part of Israel, and there was nothing. And that was very disappointing to see, and honestly, a huge red flag for a lot of us.
Okay, so pretty much what he's saying is that there are representatives that work for Turning Point USA that have deep connections with Israel, right? That he's saying that some of them are a part of organizations within Israel and within their government structure. If that's the case, then that does add a new dynamic to the things that Candace Owens has been saying, that they have close ties to Israel, right? And we know that
Turning Point USA, you're looking really bad right now. You know Candace is not going to meet you in public. She's not going to come in person and meet you anywhere. You've been lying from the time this thing happened to Charlie Kirk. We had 3,000 witnesses plus the world who saw what he went through. Why, for a sad moment, you really want to push her to come to you in person? And if she doesn't come to you in person, all of a sudden, the ball is in her court. Why don't you shame the devil and speak the truth for once in your life as conservative Christians? You're looking really bad. Listen to this.
She's sad.
Trying to gaslight us, not answering basic details. So we just went for it. And guess what? Turning Point has moved to formally respond to all the things that we have said. And after a very long diatribe in which they wildly misrepresent the public and global investigation of Charlie Kirk's assassination, they at long last issued a public invitation or a challenge. I'm not sure what it is, but I accept. Okay. quite literally all we have ever asked for were sensible answers to our basic questions about what transpired on September 10th. And it looks like we're going to get those things.
It looks like we're not going to get those things because, as far as I'm concerned, they're chicken out. And now it's Candace's fault because she doesn't want to show up. I don't think her neck is strong enough to take a 30-06. And where would the Egyptian planes be when Candace show up? I just have questions as these Christian people stand there and declare that they're children of God. They don't know how to speak the truth. And it's really mind-blowing. Candace won this. Candace, you won this. And I believe that the truth will come out in God's time because these guys are looking really shabby.
All right, so Candace Owens posted that she received information that put the final pieces together for her, allowing her to say with full confidence that she believes that Charlie Kirk was betrayed by the leadership of Turning Point USA and some of the very people who eulogized him on stage at his funeral. She stated that she will be naming names and providing the evidence for her claims. She did that, and what I have found out about the individual mentioned, the French-American investor, is going to blow your mind. I've actually connected a potential piece here proving that Candace is correct. Candace then also, for the first time that I've seen in this investigation, called out Erica Kirk to respond to this. Let's get right into it. Before we do though, guys, and as always, please make sure you are subscribed. It is my goal and duty here every day to bring you commentary from a God-first perspective. We seek the truth regardless of outcome or consequence so that we can remain aligned and on the path toward our potential in this life. Misery comes from misalignment with truth. We avoid that here. Subscribe. And if you want to go even further, join the God First Nation here and get yourself some God First, One Nation Under God merch and apparel at zachcostello.com. I'm Zach Costello. Okay, so we are all clear about the things that Candace Owens promised regarding delivering the information provided to her that provided the final pieces, putting together that Charlie was betrayed by Turning Point USA leadership. This is a longer clip, but you need to listen carefully to the entire thing so that you can understand the claim being made here. This involves the Turning Point USA Chief Operating and Development Officer, a French-American investor and donor who I did some digging on, and you are not going to believe what I found. Listen to this first.
Charlie died with his soul intact. Dying with his soul intact. He said no. He said no to a lot of money. But it was actually a tip that I received early on that pulled everything together for me in a really dark way. It was water cooler talk at Turning Point USA immediately after Charlie's assassination. A few people had signified and were speculating and thinking about things that were weird. And, you know, I told you we had so many people from Turning Point USA that were just venting in our tip box and telling us that they didn't like the way management was acting and things were weird. And there were just a flurry of things that were coming in. And a few of them had signified that one of the things that was being whispered about that people thought was quite odd that they learned that happened on the day of Charlie's assassination was a rumor pertaining to Justin Strife. An oddly placed phone call that he made almost immediately, as they say, this is alleged, it wasn't on the phone call after Charlie was shot. And I will say allegedly because there's 6 people at Turning Point USA who have said this, that were talking about this. This rumor got passed around. They said that Justin had placed an immediate call to a donor prospect. And I said, that's weird. Okay. I'd like to know more about that. Can everybody try to figure?
Guys, Turning Point USA is not recovering from this. Yesterday, Candace Owens openly said, anytime, any place, let's talk about what's been said about me and what actually happened to Charlie Kirk. Because the twisting of her words and saying that she's ruining the midterms and that she's grifting off Charlie isn't adding up. Meanwhile, the same organization who was selling t-shirts not even a week after Charlie was taken out, instead of addressing any of the questions everyone actually has, they also left out the Egyptian planes. When Candace Owens said, let's have a discussion, they responded with this. We must come in person, it can't be virtual, and it has to happen in our office. It has to be December 15th at 2 p.m. when Candace literally starts her show. Tell me how this sounds like a good faith debate. Sounds like they're setting up a situation where they can later say she backed out instead of actually having the conversation. Let this be a reminder that Candace Owens' viewership is way bigger than theirs because people aren't buying the official narrative. And the biggest giveaway is now they're saying they're preparing to address everything without Candace, but they never sent her a real date or time before making that announcement. This entire situation is unraveling and TPUSA will never bounce back from it.
Y'all, I don't know what's going on, but yeah, it's a big mess. But hey, this is up to the right to hash it out and figure out what's going on. As of me, I don't care about the politics of it because I don't care about the left or right. And I was never one to follow Charlie when he was alive. And you know how I feel about Candace. The way I feel about Candace has not changed. I still don't like Candace. I still don't trust Candace, but I know right now this is a hot story that a lot of people are following. Now, whether she will debate the people over there at TPUSA, we'll see what happens over the coming weeks. If this will happen or not, we will see. But at the end of the day, I don't follow these folks. I really don't. And, as far as what happened to Charlie, we'll see. I guess the people that have a vested interest in it, they will seek out answers, and those of us that don't have a vested interest will move on to the next story. That's the way I see it. But look, all I know is the whole situation don't seem normal. The whole thing from start to finish don't seem normal. And I suppose it never will. And then you got, what's that, Tyler Robinson? And they said he's still not speaking. He's still not speaking at all. And they can't get him to speak. The only ones that are speaking are the people that turned him in and the witnesses that were around when everything happened. But he himself have not spoken a word to the authorities the whole time they've had him in custody. So there you go. So, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and conclude. Thank you so much for being here. So, I have a couple of stories coming up tomorrow. I might touch on Marjorie Taylor Greene's interview with 60 Minutes and how Donald Trump is all up in arms about the interview and what she said. So, we may touch on that tomorrow and a few other stories. So, I will see you then. Everybody, please enjoy your evening. Thank you for your support. Thank you for everything that you have done this past year in supporting me, supporting my channel, supporting my store, my business. Trust me, it has not gone unnoticed. It has not at all. And I deeply appreciate you supporting me on Shopify, on Etsy. And hey, it's been ups and downs, but more ups than downs. That's the one thing I'm very happy about. You know, I realize it's been a rough year for some of you financially, and I've had I've had a couple of people trying to come up with tricky ways to get free stuff from me, and I understand things are rough for some people. Um, just like I know some may be on a tight budget, but I cannot do that. You know, if something is really wrong, yes, then I could replace it. I had somebody that bought a product from me a year ago and they thought I was going to replace it. I can't replace something that you got a year ago. That's why there's a 30-day policy. So, everybody, I am working on bringing out a few more new products coming up in the future. The next thing is going to be, because I know a lot of people were asking if I would put out the lemon oil in an 8 ounce. That is coming. That's coming in about a week. So right now, the lemon oil only comes in the honey lemon only comes in a 4 ounce. It will officially be out in an 8 ounce bottle starting next week. So that is definitely coming. All right. So, y'all have a wonderful night, and I will see you tomorrow. Shalom, family.